Krishna, Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. I want to, hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. I want to read some Krishna book, and we're going into the chapter of Krishna lifting Govardhana Hill. It's the summary study of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. But before that, I have a couple mantras to finish my round here. And I wanted to read a poem. Just, my father in his 90s became very poetic. And he was writing some really beautiful poems that I wanted to share one of his beautiful poems about love. But I'm going to finish these mantras. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Krishna. So the background is, he was writing a lot of poems. My mother was very sick for many years, and toward the end of her life she developed Alzheimer, and so she was physically sick and her mind was gone. But he continued. He was in his 90s. He insisted that she stay at home and that he see to her care. It was very difficult for him. He's in his 90s. So he was writing poems at that time. He became very introspective. And so there's a little thing on I put the poems in little booklets for him, about 3 or 4 little booklets. And he liked that a lot. So whenever anyone was there, he came in contact with anyone, he'd give him a booklet and he'd sign it, because it was a way he could express his inner feelings was in the little book poems. So I was really happy to be able to do that for him. And on the back of this one, it's called, it's backwards because of the technology. It's called Gentle Breeze. Nice peacock on the front. And on the back, I wrote a little something about him. Mr. Barron is 91 and lives in retirement in Florida. He's fully self-sufficient and very active. That was 2010. His many friends know him in different ways. Some call him Buddy, some think of him as a father or a mentor, and others just don't know what to think. And that's really true. He is a truly remarkable person, not just because he's my father, but many, many people took shelter of him and took guidance, gained strength. And this was a poem he wrote about love. So there he is. My mother, she's in her 90s. She's physically sick, lying in the bed, can't even get up, and she has Alzheimer. And he's writing about love. They've been together their whole life, like, I don't know, 70 years together. Been through everything, World War II. They've been through everything together. And 2 children. So he's writing this poem, and he says, it's called Love. He says, love dwells not in a hug or a squeeze. Love rides not the cool evening breeze. Love survives not hot sex and emotion. Love is not a scent or a potion. Love lies not in the swing of a dress. Love is not fulfilled by a gentle caress. Love lives not in a tress of fair hair. Love is not all worry and care. Love is not a lust-filled glance. Love is not a stray moment of chance. Love is not free, free as the air. Love is not without worry, hurt, and care. Love just is. It endures, it lasts. Love surmounts hard times, gone at last. Love is expectant, it's bright, it's shiny. Love accepts all, the good, the bad, the whiny. Love's an adhesive, strongly holding together. Love remains firm throughout the roughest of weather. Love is life, beautified by the giving. Love is the greatest reason for living. So that's my sweetie. This is my dear Papa. There's a picture. He's passed away now a few years ago. 98, and he lived that. That's him in a poem. So we know, as devotees of Krishna, that love is for Krishna. So he didn't have that name, Krishna, but he's talking about love of God, actually, is what he's just what love of God he's experiencing in this way. It was very nice. So happy for him. And he lived in that consciousness of, when he says giving, he means serving. That's what giving means, serving. So love, when he says giving, means love is life beautified by the serving, by the giving. And it's the greatest reason for living, to serve and to give. Krishna. So it's very nice. I just want to dedicate that little poem and reading to some of my friends who deal with very difficult situations where they're caring for incapacitated family members, maybe a wife caring for a handicapped husband who's struggling, or like that. So it's not Maya, it's not illusion, it's serving Krishna to care for a family member who's helpless. That's serving Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. As long as we're in that consciousness that we're serving Krishna, whatever situation we're in, that's got to be there. Okay, so this is Krishna book. When the devotees asked our spiritual teacher, Srila Prabhupada, I think it was in Atlanta, I don't know, early on, whenever it was, Prabhupada visited Atlanta, community in Atlanta. And the devotee asked him, "What pleases you the most, Srila Prabhupada?" And he was waving one of the Bhagavatams in the air. Prabhupada was in the room. People were gathered there in the temple room. And the devotees raising the book in the air. What please, in other words, distributing your books, right, Prabhupada? The Prabhupada, he thought for a moment. And his answer was very grave, actually. He said, "To see that you are loving Krishna." So, if we want to please Srila Prabhupada, we have to develop this love for Krishna and know that that pleases Prabhupada. Because that's Prabhupada's mission, is to spread love of Krishna. So sometimes I see we get stuck with, well, I just want Prabhupada, but we're like afraid of Krishna, or we don't have any taste for Krishna, or, yeah, that's okay, yeah, Krishna, but it's really about Prabhupada. Yeah, but if you go to Prabhupada, Prabhupada says, "We want to please me, love Krishna." So it's not like we're disappointing Prabhupada by glorifying Krishna, or Prabhupada feels slighted because we're jumping in ecstasy or crying in ecstasy for Krishna. Now that's what he wants. That's why he wrote all the books. That's why he traveled and preached. That's why he opened the temples. That's why he installed deities. That's why, to give love of Krishna. So you're not offending Prabhupada by becoming very enlivened and attached to Krishna. Krishna, his holy name is very simple. So this is, let's chant a little bit here. It's chapter 24, Worshipping Govardhana Hill. It's a summary study of the Bhagavatam, 10th canto of Srila Prabhupada. It's a summary study by Prabhupada, 10th canto by Srila Vyasadeva. Okay, Hare Krishna. Krishna Chaitanya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Chanda Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Rashishanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, worshipping Govardhana Hill. While engaged with the Brahmanas who were too involved in the performance of Vedic sacrifices, Krishna and Balaram also saw that the cowherd men were preparing a similar sacrifice in order to pacify Indra, the king of heaven, who is responsible for supplying water. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, a devotee of Krishna has strong and firm faith in the understanding that he is simply engaged in Krishna consciousness and Krishna's transcendental loving service, then he is freed from all other obligations. A pure devotee of Lord Krishna does not have to perform any of the ritualistic functions enjoyed in the Vedas, nor is he required to worship any demigods. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one is understood to have performed all kinds of Vedic rituals in all kinds of worship to the demigods. Just by performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, or cuckoo, top of the hour, cuckoo, Krishna, Hare Krishna. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one is understood to have performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and all kinds of worship to the demigods. Just by performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or worshipping the demigods, one does not develop devotional service for Krishna. But one who is engaged fully in the service of the Lord has already finished all Vedic injunctions. Krishna ordered a stop to all such activities by his devotees, for he wanted to firmly establish exclusive devotional service during his presence in Vrindavan. Krishna knew that the cowherd men were preparing for the Indra sacrifice because he is the omniscient personality of Godhead. But as a matter of etiquette, he began to inquire with great honor and submission from elder personalities like Maharaj Nanda and others. Krishna asked his father, "My dear father, what is this arrangement going on for a great sacrifice? What is the result of such sacrifice, and for whom is it meant? How is it performed? Will you kindly let me know? I'm very anxious to know this procedure, so please explain to me the purpose of this sacrifice." Upon this inquiry, his father Nanda Maharaj remained silent, thinking that his young boy would not be able to understand the intricacies of performing the yajna. Krishna, however, persisted. "My dear father, for those who are liberal and saintly, there's no secrecy. They do not think anyone to be a friend or enemy because they're always open to everyone, and even for those who are not so liberal, nothing should be secret for the family members and friends, although secrecy may be maintained for persons who are inimical. Therefore, you cannot keep any secrets from me. All persons are engaged in fruitive activities. Some know what these activities are, and they know the result, and some execute activities without knowing the purpose or the result. A person who acts with full knowledge gets the full result. One who acts without knowledge does not get such a perfect result. Therefore, please let me know the purpose of the sacrifice which you are going to perform. Is it according to Vedic injunction, or is it simply a popular ceremony? Kindly let me know in detail about the sacrifice." On hearing this inquiry from Krishna, Maharaj Nanda replied, "My dear boy, this ceremonial performance is more or less traditional. Because rainfall is due to the mercy of King Indra, and the clouds are his representatives, and because water is so important for our living, we must show some gratitude to the controller of this rainfall, Maharaj Indra. We are arranging, therefore, to pacify King Indra because he has very kindly sent us clouds to pour down sufficient quantity of rain for successful agricultural activities. Water is very important. Without rainfall, we cannot farm or produce grains. We cannot live if there is no rainfall. It is necessary for successful religious ceremonies, economic development, and ultimately liberation. Therefore, we should not give up the traditional ceremonial function. If one gives it up, being influenced by lust or greed or fear, then it does not look very good for him." After hearing this, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the presence of his father and all the cowherd men of Vrindavan, spoke in such a way as to make heavenly King Indra very angry. He suggested that they forego the sacrifice. His reasons for discouraging the sacrifice performed to please Indra were twofold. First, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there's no need to worship the demigods for any material advancement. All results derived from worshipping the demigods are simply temporary, and only those who are less intelligent are interested with temporary results. Secondly, whatever temporary result one derives from worshipping the demigods is actually granted by the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan. Whatever benefit is supposed to be derived from the demigods is actually bestowed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot bestow any benefit upon others. But sometimes the demigods become puffed up by the influence of material nature, thinking themselves all in all. They try to forget the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that in this instance, Krishna wanted to make King Indra angry. Krishna's advent was especially meant for the annihilation of the demons and protection of the devotees. King Indra was certainly a devotee, not a demon, but because he was puffed up, Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. He first tried to make Indra angry by stopping the Indra Puja, which was arranged by the cowherd men in Vrindavan. With this purpose in mind, Krishna began to talk as if he were an atheist, supporting the philosophy of karma mimamsa. Advocates of this type of philosophy do not accept the supreme authority of the personality of Godhead. They put forth the argument that if anyone works nicely, the result is sure to come. Their opinion is that even if there is a God who gives man the result of his fruitive activities, there's no need to worship him, because unless man works, he cannot bestow any good result. They say that instead of worshiping a demigod or God, people should give attention to their own duties, and thus the good result will surely come. Lord Krishna began to speak to his father according to these principles of the karma mimamsa philosophy. My dear father, he said, I don't think you need to worship any demigod for the successful performance of your agricultural activities. Every living being is born according to his past karma and leaves this life simply taking the result of his present karma. Everyone is born in different types of species of life according to his past activities, and he gets his next birth according to the activities of this life. Different grades of material happiness and distress, comforts and disadvantages of life are different results of different kinds of activities, either from the past or present life. So there's an extensive going back and forth of arguing, not fighting, but placing arguments or reasoning back and forth between Krishna and his father and the other elderly members of the community. And I can read that next time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So today is a fast day. It's Ekadasi, fasting from beans and grains and other types of foodstuffs, at least until noon. And there's a gathering to read Chaitanya Charitamrita at devotee's house today in the afternoon. Looking forward to it very much. And everyone is going to be preparing something that's foodstuff that's offerable on Ekadasi. So I'm going to make the carrot halva and peanuts and raisins. Someone else is going to make a vegetable preparation, someone else, whatever they're making, different things, sweet. So I'm looking forward to that, barfi. I'm looking forward to that later. So I'll chant a few more rounds and then start cooking. Hare Krishna, Hare. What a life. What a life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Some of the devotees that will be in the Sangha this afternoon have had a lot of personal interaction early on with Prabhupada, so they always have some good stories that Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I didn't have much, a little bit. I was there, but I didn't have much. My service wasn't like direct service, Prabhupada physically cooking or something. I was there, but I was out on the street with his books. I was in the Tulsi greenhouse. I was there. And I would attend his class. I sat in a lot of his classes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. So I know him like I've always known him, then and now, through his books and through the chanting, because he's given me the holy name. And I take his instruction very seriously, that what pleases him the most is to see that I'm loving Krishna. So I take that as my personal instruction. Keep it simple, stupid. Krishna.